Hi, my name is Paddy Horn. I'll be taking you for Digital 4 this semester. As you all know, Digital 4 is a continuation of Digital 3, which looked at the digital channels that are available to hospitality, tourism, leisure and events operations. And while Digital 3 looked at the creation of these channels, Digital 4 looks at how we might amalgamate these channels along with other ones that we'll be looking at here into creating an effective digital marketing campaign. So I'm going to kick on here now and go to the So are you ready? That's the question. Okay, what we're going to have a look at here is we're going to look at this tutorial is looking at an introduction to the module, the process involved in it, the steps involved in the module. I won't look at the actual assessments in this particular tutorial. I'll look at them in the next tutorial. But I'll also look at the online resources that are available to us that will help us guide you and support you through the actual module. First of all, just a quick shout out there with my email address is patrick.horn@tudublin.ie, and that's probably the first port of call for anyone who needs to get in contact with me. So the module aim, as I mentioned earlier on, it's a continuation of what we did in Digital 3. Whereas in Digital 3 looked at each channel individually, this looks at how we might combine these channels to create a digital strategy and optimize a digital strategy. So the stages involved here are not only creating, which we were dealing with in Digital 3, but planning, developing, implementing and optimizing. So the whole idea of managing these channels as well over time is very, very important to us. So that's really what we're looking at. Okay, so how are we going to support you through this process? Well, for starters, we have a dedicated website. A dedicated website is one created specifically for Digital 4 and to do with tutorials. And we're using Wix for this, and the actual The link is patrickhorn.wixsite.com/digital4. So I'm just going to briefly just jump in here and have a look at what we have on this site. The site is kind of the first and the main resource that we're going to use throughout the actual course. As you can see across the top, we have home, tutorials, and there are 5 units under tutorials. Downloads, which looks at all the different downloads that you need from beginning to end of this particular site. Help, which we'll talk about mainly in a PowerPoint a little bit later on, and then contact as well. Okay, so we'll have a look at the home page first of all and see what's on it. Well, first of all, there's a link to Dropbox, which I'll be explaining in a couple of minutes. But Dropbox is mainly where I'm going to save all of my files. Okay, so it's like an archive. If anybody needs to access any of the files, the PowerPoints, the previous examples, the exercises we're going to do, the examples I'm going to provide, all of that stuff will be there. Okay, and it's the easiest way to get access to it. Then we have access to a dedicated YouTube channel, which is dedicated to Digital4, which again will look at every single one of the tutorials, such as this one here, and any virtual Q&A that we actually record over the period of time as well will be saved in that particular channel. It'll also be available here on the website. And then we will link to Brightspace. Now, really what we're doing in Brightspace is linking to all these other resources. So really, it's just a gateway to this website, to Dropbox, and to YouTube. So well, I'm just going to scroll down here and have a look at the home page first of all. Okay, and what's on it? There's an overview of the course. You'll see this diagram in the next few minutes there, which really is the overview of what we're trying to do in this particular module. Okay, there's links to the YouTube channel, Dropbox, and Brightspace as well. There's links to a module structure, which is just below here. And there's links to Q&A sessions as well when they occur. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly have a look at this here. The module structure is quite important to us. As I mentioned, in this case, if I hover over here, you've got 5 units, and these 5 units are shown down here. And what they are is course introduction, digital analysis, digital strategy, digital integration, and then metrics or measurement. Okay, so these are 5 different units that we have, but inside the units they all have topics in there as well. Some of them have a lot of topics, some not so much. Okay, and some of them even have exercises which we'll add to as we add new material. Okay, so if I click on any one of these links, it'll bring me to the equivalent of just clicking on one of them here. It'll bring you to the unit that's important to it. Okay, the module resource down here, you can see links to the website, which is here, Dropbox. We'll be using Zoom, which I'll talk about in a few minutes for virtual Q&As and so on. Link to the dedicated YouTube channel and a link to Brightspace. At the bottom, of course, you have contacts, which is my email address, and a contact form here. And as well as that, difficult to see it on this particular one, so scroll up a little bit here, but you also have a chat forum here as well. I'm just going to go into one of the units here, just to give you an example of what's going on in the unit. So if I go into Unit 1 here, Unit 1 is dealing with this particular tutorial and the next one, which deals with Digital4 assessment. And these are the 2 topics that combine into creating the course introduction. And as you can see here, there is a dedicated section in here for both of those. Okay, and I'm recording this particular tutorial now, and this will be added to this here. And the tutorial, as well as that, will actually link to the PowerPoint I'm using, and also link to other examples and other downloads that might be useful to it. Not all of them will have a download, but most of them will. Okay, the same with the module assessment one. We'll actually have links to the actual assessments, and we'll also have a link to look at the tutorial and the PowerPoint. Okay, so you'll see all of those appearing like that. If I click on the download section here, you can see that this is a link to all of the downloads that you need from the beginning right through to the very end of this particular module, Digital4. You can see the module descriptor, assessment brief 1 and 2, assessment 1 examples as well. Okay, and these are previous examples of people that have conducted this particular course. And it's only assessment 1 really, which is the documentation on planning and strategy. But it's a bit like, what I'm doing here is a bit like a thesis, where you might go to the library to find really good examples of previous theses that will be up there, and they will actually help you to do a better job with your own. And that's exactly what this is. The examples that I provide will all be, like we do with the thesis, will all be 70 plus examples. So it'll be a very good benchmark on what you're trying to do. And then we've got the unit downloads down along here, which are all the different five units here, and the unit tutorials here. And then there's miscellaneous downloads here, which will be just additional downloads that I'll provide at different points. And you will notice that some of these you will absolutely require. Then what I'm going to do is add examples, or exercises I should say. These aren't actually linked to yet, because I'm going to add them in line with the new course material that's been added, so that it kind of gives you something to look at the right particular time in the actual in the course material. So I'm going to just look at help for a second, the help section, because I've been as comprehensive as I possibly can here with this, where I've got forms, I've got chat, I've got the resources, I've got frequently asked questions. Now what I'm going to do with the frequently asked questions is I'm going to keep adding to this section. So if somebody emails me a question about something to do with an assignment, and I think it's of benefit to everyone, I will put it into the frequently asked questions section. And it's envisaged that I'm going to be carrying out virtual Q&As. I'm probably going to be using Zoom for this, and I'll let everyone know in due course what the actual link will be. But if somebody can't make that particular virtual Q&A, well, I'm going to record them and post them up here as well, and put any examples I've gone through or anything I've gone through in the Q&A up here. So it'll be of benefit to everybody, okay? And then at the end, we've just got contacts at the end here. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint here, and I'm going to just jump into that and carry on. So the first online resource is a dedicated website. The second online resource I'm going to talk about is Dropbox. And Dropbox is exactly that. It's the same as quite a few resources online. It's just literally a place where I can store files. And it's very, very useful. So it's going to include all my PowerPoints, all my examples, all previous examples, all my exercises, any kind of, PDFs that I want you to download for notes, anything that, that might be useful throughout the actual module will be in here as well. And that's a very simple tinyurl.com/TUD-D4. Okay, and that will link you directly to that as well. Okay. Next online resource I'm going to look at is YouTube, and as I mentioned, a lot of my tutorials will be recorded. In fact, all of them will, I think. And but on top of that, any virtual Q&As will be recorded, and they'll all be stored in a designated YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel again has a tinyurl.com, and it's TUD-4B. Okay, D4B, sorry. And that will look at all of these things that we just talked about there. Okay, so again, very, very useful resource. Again, YouTube, all of YouTube and all of Dropbox, everything is still on the website. The Zoom, we're going to use Zoom for, as I said, dedicated Q&A sessions, and these URLs will be dynamically generated and given out to the class. We might use the same one throughout the entirety of the course, but we'll see how that works best. And then finally, we've got Brightspace. Now, I know a lot of other lecturers use Brightspace for hosting the notes. What I'm going to use Brightspace for is, I'm going to use, as you can see here, allow people to be able to link to all these other online resources. So really, when I'm putting something new up, it'll either be going into YouTube, it'll be going onto the website, or it'll be going into Dropbox, and the link to those places will be on Brightspace. So they're all our online resources. Moving on, we're going to have a look at the links to all of these, okay? And again, this will be given out to you on day one. And if you need to contact me, which I'm sure you will, there's lots of different ways. The easiest way is patrick.horn at tudublin.ie, which is my email address. There's a Let's Chat function on the website. There's also forms on the website that you can fill in and send in to me if you have something specific to talk about. We're going to be using, as I said, virtual Q&As, which will be saved on the website and also will be on YouTube. There's really no point in ringing me at this point in time, so I'm going to skip that one. And then the last one here is frequently asked questions. And as I said, anything that is emailed to me or I'm made aware of that I think might be very useful to the rest of the class, I will put it into the frequently asked questions section on the website too. So the last thing I'm going to look at here is the module structure. This is really important. These are the steps that are going to guide us right from the beginning of the course right through the very end. And it's the roadmap of all the things that we're going to look at. The first thing we're going to look at is analysis. Now, like anyone doing a thesis, when you look at analysis, the first thing you got to figure out is what exactly is it you want to do. Okay, what are the aims? What are the objectives? Who the audience? All of those kind of things. What's the environment in which it's placed? Okay, if you're dealing with a business environment, you're also talking about maybe doing a SWOT analysis. In our case, we'll be looking at what facilities they have already, what digital channels they have in play at the moment. Are they any good? Could they be improved, and so on? So all of that fits into analysis. I always call the analysis section setting the scene. So really when you finish your analysis section, you will know certain things about your project. You'll know what is your goal, what do you really want to achieve, who is it for, who's your audience, all right? Where are you now? Okay, where are you situated? Like a SWOT analysis. Where exactly are we now? So in this section, the more we think, the better it is. Okay, so this is time well spent. The second section is strategy. And in section 1, in the analysis stage, we know where it is we're going. We know who it's for. We don't know how we're going to do it. And we don't know what tools we're going to use. Okay, so the strategy focuses on that. What's the best channel or combination of channel to achieve what we're trying to do? How can we best combine them? What can we do in each channel? Like, let's be honest, some of these will be image-based channels, some will be video-based channels, some will be text-based channels, and so on. What's the best combination that we can use to achieve what we're trying to do? Okay. Those first two stages, analysis and strategy, come together in, and I'll talk about this in the next tutorial, in assignment 1. Okay. And then assignment 2 looks at implementation and management or maintenance. Okay. So really what we're looking at implementation is, in the first part we looked at what it is we're trying to do, how we're going to do, which channels we're going to use, what's going to be on, and even storyboards and flowcharts and all these kind of things in there. So in the second stage here, we're actually doing these. So we're actually creating these channels, we're actually creating these combinations, putting them together and trying to achieve our aims. Okay, so it's implementing what we've actually said we're going to do. So really it's doing what you said you're going to do in assignment 1. Okay, and then finally measurement. There's an old adage that says you can't manage what you do not measure. So it's all about trying to understand how well we're doing at this point in time. And the great thing about the web and about digital channels is they're absolutely and utterly, entirely measurable. Everything is measurable. That's the great thing. The downside is everything is measurable. So it's about understanding what it is we want to measure rather than measuring everything, and then figuring out what we should be measuring and how often we should be doing that. And then once we do measure what we're doing, it's about adjusting our adjusting our channels to try to achieve our potential. So that's the module structure. The one thing about the module structure which is really important is that once you do this the first time, that's not the end of it, that's just the beginning. This is an iterative process. It goes round and around and around and around. So the analysis the second time, the strategy the second time, the implementation the second time will be different. The measurement will be different. We'll have more to measure. We'll have people coming in there. We'll know who they are, where they're coming from, what they're doing, and what they want to do on our channel. So it's about understanding these different things. So that's the introduction to the module. What we'll do in the next tutorials, we'll have a look at the assignments.